Hey y'all, how's everyone doing? It's been a while, I'm sorry about that, but hopefully this is an interesting video. It's good to talk again. Welcome to episode 5 of... So I guess briefly I'll do a tea update, but I don't want to spend too much time on this video because there are other things that I want to talk about that are a little bit more important to me at the given moment. But testosterone is super important to me, so let's have a chat about that, right? It's been 3 months since I started testosterone. My voice is a little bit different. I hope you can tell the difference. If not, that's all right. My jawline's sharpening, my weight is redistributing, I'm getting a beer belly, although I stopped drinking beer, but, you know, still getting the belly. It's, you know, it's moving from my thighs to my tummy. I got prescribed the testosterone, which is super exciting. They usually do not prescribe people to take home after the 5th shot because learning how to do the shots is a process, and a lot of people take a long time to do that, but I have a little bit more experience with needles just because I have diabetes, so I got the hang of it at a relatively good pace, and they said I was good to go. So I'll show you really quickly what's in the bag. We got your testosterone, right? And that's just these, like, tiny vials. They're really small. And it's a very viscous fluid. It's not like insulin. It's not like insulin, right? It's a lot harder to draw up the needle. You've got syringes. The needle itself, but you put the needle on the syringe, you unsafety it, and then uncap it. You've got gauze. Alcohol swabs to clean both the testosterone vial and the location where you're going to give the injection. And, of course, you've got Band-Aids because you need to cover up the little wound. It's not really a big wound, it's just like a little circle. Sometimes it bleeds a little bit, sometimes it doesn't bleed at all, sometimes it bleeds a lot, apparently. And it's a process to learn how to do this, you know, to give the injection. So, heads up if you're pre-T or whatever. It takes a while to learn, and that's okay. Everyone takes a learning curve, you know? You do it, you learn it. Some people go into the clinic for a year every 2 weeks to get their shots. We've all got different paces. Anyway, that's testosterone. I think, you know, the changes are mostly evident. I'm getting a little veinier, which is very exciting. That's that. I want to talk about something else today. Over-focused ADD. I was diagnosed with ADD recently, and after doing some more research on ADD and the different kinds, I have concluded, because I'm a professional, that I have over-focused ADD. So what is over-focused ADD? Because that sounds paradoxical, right? You have ADD, you can't focus. And it is sort of a strange thing. My attention span is very mediocre. When I get interested in things, even if I can't focus in the moment on that thing, and so that's where the ADD part comes in. I have medication now that I don't want to use often, but I will have to use every here and there for school. When I get fixated on something, or when something becomes sort of interesting to me, or whatever it might be, and in the past that's been school, sports, with beer, and other things. When I get interested in a hobby or a significant other, I hyper-focus on that thing. And it takes up a lot of my headspace. Sometimes that's fun and happy, and then other times it consumes me. And so I get caught in negative thought patterns. And I remember in high school, I was full IB, so I was doing a lot of classes, and I had sports also. I would do these things, and I would barely be able to focus on them, except for sports. I was able to focus on sports because that's physical exercise. And then, you know, at the same time, feel like they were all I had to focus on. You know, and I was putting this crazy pressure on myself to be perfect at them, and yet I couldn't. It was exhausting. I was hyper-focused on getting into certain colleges, and I didn't, and it crushed me. In college, I was hyper-focused for a while on my first love. And for freshman year, that was great, and I had the time to be hyper-focused on a person. And then in sophomore year, I had to switch my focus to school. And I was hyper-focused on school, again, with mediocre actual concentration in the moment. But I was so hyper-focused on it that my relationship fell apart. Because when we talked, I couldn't switch my focus. A thing in over-focused ADD is when you get obsessive about something, you can't switch your focus very well. It's something you can train. That's what's happened in the past for me. And so I was so focused on school, I couldn't switch my focus when I was talking to someone I loved to hear what they were saying. the same thing has come with things like my identity. I neglected the thought of being trans for 20 years, and then I realized I was trans, and that was all I focused on for several months. And I'm moderately focused on it now, but I've got other things in my head too. And whenever I have negative thought patterns, I find myself hyper-focusing on all of these bad possibilities that could happen. And that's so unrealistic. Like, when I step back outside of myself for a second, I'm like, wait, what you're thinking is ridiculous, dude. Like, chill out. But it drives me crazy. It's damaging to my mental health. And so something that I'm trying to learn, especially since starting testosterone, because if I thought I had ADD before testosterone, boy, do I have it now. I can't sit still for extended periods of time unless I've worked out significantly and eaten just under the amount of calories that I actually need. So, it's exciting. I love ADD. I love, what was I saying? That was a joke. I hope it was funny. Anyway, I'm a dweeb. So what I'm trying to learn now, and I'm glad that I've recognized this issue, and it took me 20 years to get here, so that kind of blows. I think one of the reasons in high school I had several relationships that were good and happy and healthy, and I blew, was because I got hyperfixated on the person, and then afterward I was like, oh, wait, I'm fixated on other things now. Yeah, enough of my tragic love life. The solution... The solution, I think, is something that I'm working on now. That's learning to switch my focus, to acknowledge when I start feeling these negative thought patterns come on, to stop them in their tracks and say, okay, wait, one, what is reality? What are you thinking versus what do you know? Two, is the pressure you're placing on yourself too much? Step back. Are you being unrealistic about what you can and cannot do? And so school, for example, I don't plan on ever giving myself 18 credits again. I could not do that in sophomore year. I was thoroughly depressed. And yeah. Anyway, 3 is meditation and learning to be present in the moment. Whatever might come in front of me, I want to try to get better at focusing on just what's in front of me. And my head tends to wander and go all over the place. That's, ADD. And I could use medication. I don't want to rely on a chemically made substance by Big Pharma to feel sane. I'm learning moderation in exercise routines. I worked out every day in sophomore year for a while, for the first semester. I ran every day, and it felt great. And I was hyper-focused on it, of course. And then my leg blew, and I couldn't run, and I realized I had no healthy coping mechanisms, and I fell into a pit of depression. It was great. Whereas if I were to step back and I were to say, okay, I want to create a healthy workout routine now, is say, okay, a few days a week running, a few days a week biking, a few days a week doing yoga and stretching, and much more moderated forms of self-care and of coping mechanisms so that I'm not putting unrealistic pressure on myself. If I can't maintain a perfect routine, I need to learn to let go of that concept. And if I can't do 18 credits in college, that's okay. I've got other responsibilities. I cannot handle 18 credits on top of being an RA, a student ambassador, a res life assistant, and a significant other, and a friend to people, not that I'm a significant other to anyone right now, but whatever, right? Like, I can't do that, and that's okay. That's too much pressure for one person. I set myself up for failure when I hyper-focus on overachieving. So I am not doing that anymore. Instead, if I hyper-focus on anything, it is going to be moderation and meditation to improve my attention span, improve my focus and my presence. Because I think in each given moment, there's a lot to be interested in, a lot to analyze, and a lot to enjoy. Even if someone you're talking to isn't necessarily the type of person you'd want to spend a lot of time with, when you're talking to them, it's important to me to listen to what they're saying, to find interest and beauty or analysis and whatever it is, so that I'm not missing out on any details, especially when it comes to talking to people I love. So that's where I'm at. I guess that sort of sums up my 2018 and how I'm going to approach 2019 with healthier coping mechanisms, healthier habits, more moderation, and it's getting better at being present in the moment every time I talk to people and every time I do things, right, or study or whatever it might be. I don't want to miss out on a single moment of life because I'm busy thinking about the past or future. Right now, I got the present, baby, and I'm living for it. I hope y'all are doing well. I hope 2019 is a good year for you. For a lot of people, better than 2018. I hope it is for me. I know there are many changes coming, and I look forward to keeping you all up to speed with that. Look forward to open dialogue, talking about it, whatever. Keep in touch. Take care, y'all. Be well.